Oh boy, I am from the small fishing village of Winona.
Originally?
And originally, in fact, I perhaps was one of the last people that was born on the island.
Really?
Really. Yes.
You were born here on the island?
In Winona.
In Winona?
Yep.
Okay. Instead of the hospital of Princess Anne or Salisbury.
72 years ago.
72 years ago. Okay. And when did you first start to get on the water and be interested
Oh my.
in the water?
Very, very young. Probably when I was 12 years old.
12 years old?
Around 12.
Okay.
I worked with my dad.
All right.
And then at 16 I was taken out of school and went full time.
Went full time?
But then I changed course in life, you know. I
Right.
went back to school and went into the ministry. And served as pastor and Maryland State Police chaplain for 45 years.
That's right. I wanted to ask you a little bit about that, but before I get to that, I just wanted to ask about being a skipjack captain, and that you were the youngest skipjack?
I was the youngest skipjack captain at one time on the bay. I bought my first sailboat, the Claude W. Summers, in 1965. From Mr. Carl Hoffman, my neighbor.
And did you enter any of the skipjack races? How many races were you in?
I just entered the one.
Just entered the one, and you won it, right?
And I won it, yeah.
And
I had two great teachers.
Who were
Two
those?
great. My uncle, Paul Benton Jr. And my father-in-law, Art Daniels.
Oh, okay.
And I did a lot of sailing for those two captains after the day's work. They would let me sail into the harbor, and I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like skippering a sailboat, a boat under sail.
What's your favorite thing about it?
I think the challenge of the wind. You know, you have to stay alert every second.
Yeah.
But I worked when there was no power. You know, we never had power dredging. It was all under sail.
Right.
And that makes it very interesting.
Right. It makes things really different than now.
Oh yeah. Now anybody can do it. You know, you could skipper a boat now.
I doubt it.
Under power, sure you could.
So you were the youngest skipjack captain to win the race, is that?
I was the youngest skipjack captain to win the race.
And your son, Danny, was actually the person.
He was sitting on my lap.
He was sitting on your lap.
And he was 4 years old. And I took my hands off of the helm, and he steered across.
That's great.
I had of course, my grandfather was with me, and he was an old-time captain, so he gave me some pointers in the race. You know?
Still must have been really exciting.
That was when we had at least 25 competitors.
Wow.
In the race.
That seems like a lot.
Maybe even more. And when the gun goes off and you're on the starting line, you're right in there with the mix.
Right.
And try to pick the best place.
How many people are in the race now? You said it used to be 25 to 30, and I guess now it's a lot.
I don't know.
It's like, because there's not that many skipjacks left.
No. I don't know if there will be 10 this year.
Right.
And a couple of those won't be working skipjacks.
Right. So then you decided to become a preacher. You decided to go back to school and become a preacher, is that right? What made you decide to do that?
Boy, that's a tough question because I've always felt a call to public service.
Oh, okay.
I've always wanted to help people. That's why I became a state police chaplain. And that was a very interesting job. In fact, I'm still active while I'm retired. If they need me, they can call.
I am actually not very familiar with what a state police chaplain does.
They have the worst responsibility. If there's an accident on the highway,
I see.
I have to go with a uniformed officer at any hour of the night or day and knock on the door. Most of the families, if they see a uniformed officer and a minister in a, you know, a businessman suit, I have, in fact, I still have part of my uniform that identifies me as a chaplain. And, but most of the time I'll be wearing a suit. Now, if I'm on an accident scene, and I have flown out on the medevac several times from the highway. That's to assist the paramedics. But me and Danny both were, and still are, like members of Company 4 in Calvert County Rescue Squad.
Oh,
He probably told you about that.
He told me about the
Little boy.
The little boy.
Yep.
Yeah, which is a pretty incredible story. Yeah.
Danny is his hero.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing story to hear. And so then you moved to Brooms Island, is that right?
Moved to Brooms Island. That was my first church away from the area. I had a church here for 2 years. And then remained there for 15 years. And then after all of these years now, I get calls back, I don't know, several times a month.
Really?
In Calvert County, as well as the, because I served as MSP chaplain in Calvert County. That's where I started, and with the rescue squad, so I knew so many people, you know. And that was when the chaplaincy program was very, very serious. We were sworn officers, carried a badge. I could have, but I never carried a revolver, service revolver. I was encouraged to do that at one time, but in fact I declined. I told them if I had to do that, I would quit.
You just didn't think you needed to do it. Right.
I had under my bed and locked up now, but I never carried it with me.
You never took it with you. You just didn't think it was necessary to have something like that. Yeah. And then you decided you moved back to Winona?
I moved back to Winona.
And how many sons do you have? You have 3? Is that right?
I have 3 sons.
And are they all watermen?
All watermen.
And
very proud of them. They are probably top-notch Class A watermen. Now I'm bragging a little bit, but there's nothing they cannot do on the water in this line of work. And their skills and know-how. And we came from a long line of watermen that dates back to our great-grandfathers.
Really? How many generations is that? That's
oh, Lord.
6 generations?
My grandfather, his father, my great-grandmother raised me, and they were all watermen. And further back than that, either one of my boys could sail. They could sail a boat. But I hope I don't live long enough to see them become obsolete, but they are going to be.
You think so?
Yeah. They can't spend the money. They can't. There's so many state regulations now, and it's hard for them to make a living. You know, a lot of our young people have moved away and became employed. Well, Salisbury factories. My kid brother did. He didn't follow the water. He was raised just like I was on the water, but as soon as he reached the age, he graduated and went into the Navy.
Right.
And came home and got a job in Salisbury, and that's where he retired, which it's paying off for him now.
Right. That makes sense.
Not a whole lot of retirement funds coming in for watermen.
Right.
Okay. for my boys, for any of the watermen, they will tell you the same thing that I'm going to tell you. Why do people choose such a rugged life? It's the hardest form of making a living. You have to face the challenge of nature besides the regulations of the state. And I think the answer would be from all of us who've done this all of our life. We're independent. We're our own boss. If we get up in the morning and it's blowing 30 miles an hour and we decided, hey, I think I'll stay in and do something different today. We don't have to rush up the road and punch a clock and be in the factory. Now I had 5 crew members which depended on me, so that kind of pushes you when you're a skipjack captain.
Right.
You know, you take more chances than you should because you have a lot of people depending on you to make a living. But when I had the skipjack, my first year we had to work because the oysters had been depleted here, and we had MSX, a marine disease that killed off the oysters, and we had to go up to the far reaches of the bay, harbored in Rock Hall. So you have some idea, way up above the Bay Bridge is where we worked. But to answer that question, it's, oh dear Lord, there's something about being on the water that puts you next door to God. You know, it's no matter how stormy it is, it's our challenge, and He lets us know He's in charge now.